Hello, investors. It's Don Vandenbord, Chief Investment Officer with Revere Asset Management. Today is Thursday, August 21st, 5:02 p.m. Eastern Time, coming to you from St. Augustine Beach, Florida, with tonight's Revere Roundup Daily Market Insight video. Market state, we continue to be in an uptrend. Check the trend gauge over there. We've got the coveted four green arrows with a couple of negatives. First one being market leaders. We got a yellow sub arrow trying to recover from some damage to the leaders earlier this week. We're going to go through seven that are on the 2121 list that are currently below the 21-day moving average. No shortage of stocks ready to take their place, but it certainly is a note. It certainly is noteworthy when we've got 1/3 of the list breaking the 21. Short term, we also got the green arrow, but a yellow sub arrow as the NASDAQ 100 which had led year to date. It has shown relative weakness as of late and two closes below the 21-day moving average there. That is dragging down the market cap weighted S&P 500, which closed right on the 21-day moving average today. Medium and long term, the six indexes that we comment on all these videos above their 50-day moving average and 200-day moving average. So what happened today? Market basically waiting on Fed head Jerome Powell's Jackson Hole speech, which takes place at 10 a.m. Eastern time on Friday. And just tight range pullback today, bouncing between highs and lows and an inside day relative to yesterday. So not a whole lot going on. There was some relative strength in a few nice leading stocks, also a few with relative weakness. Here are the numbers: the 21 over 21 up an average of 0.5%, 15 up, 6 down. The Turbo 12 down an average of 0.5%, 6 up, 6 down, dragged down by HSAI, which was down by 11%. The Big 8 down an average of 0.5%. The RG8 positive by about 0.1%, led by FFTY. That's the IBD 50, really the number one indicator for all of our ETFs of what growth names are doing. That was up 1.1% today. S&P 500 opened down 1/3%, closed down 0.4%. Equal weight, just a bit better. NASDAQ 100 down almost 0.5%, equal weight in the same area. Dow down 1/3, mid caps down 0.14. Small caps positive on the day. This has been showing some relative strength lately, up by 0.2%. Global 60/40 down 1/3%. Our flagship GROTECTION portfolio down 0.35. Turbo down 0.53 approximately. Everybody with money flowing in, we basically have model accounts and we give the stats for the model account, but there are a lot of assimilations going on, meaning new money comes in and we work them toward the model. So this is that's why we put the approximation on there. So let's get into it. We will start with the S&P 500, and after a break higher last week and tight days of consolidation, you can see this a little better if I turn the stochastics off. Really five negative closes. The first two we counted as consolidation days as they were inside the second and third day of the up day, but five negative days, really 3 days down coming into this 21-day moving average, which we undercut and reclaimed yesterday. Inside day closing basically right on the 21-day today. Let's go to RSP, the equal weight, which looks stronger. Note the relative strength here over the last 2 weeks. It is above the 8-day moving average and 2 days down there. Above the 21, above the 50, still not breaking out. So longer term, the relative strength is poor, but over the past 2 weeks, it has improved. And that's because the NASDAQ 100 has been showing relative weakness over the past 2 weeks. We talk about it constantly. These big tech names with their big weights in the S&P 500, depending on what they're doing, will dictate the S&P 500 market cap weighted version. And of course, the NASDAQ 100, which we're showing here, trapped between the now declining 21-day moving average and uptrending 50-day moving average with an inside day, 2 closes below the 21. Look for that range to break one way or another with with the reaction to the Powell speech tomorrow. Even if I knew what he was saying, it's the reaction. That's the key. There's equal weight, already showed that. Let's show the Dow Jones Industrial Average above the 21-day, sitting on the 8. Note the relative strength there over the last 2 weeks as money has flowed from growth into value. This has a value bent, the Dow does. Let's see the Russell no, not the Russell. We want to go to mid caps next. Mid caps sitting right on the 21-day moving average, undercut and reclaim of that level today. And the Russell 2000 slightly stronger, 2 bounces in a row off of the 21-day moving average. Those are the major indexes. Let's go to some inter-asset correlation. VIX spiked up today with people trying to protect themselves against extreme reaction of what Powell says tomorrow. The dollar move higher today. Precious metals, GLD, tight range, sitting right on or right below the 8, 21, and 50-day moving averages, and they're all basically flat. This is in a tight range going back to April. Possible that we'll get some sort of a reaction to this, to Powell's speech tomorrow. Outperforming GLD is GDX. You can see this little breakout from a 2-week shelf here, up 1.7% today. Silver, tight range above the moving averages. Bitcoin breaking below the 50-day moving average. That's 2 out of 3 closes below the 50-day now. Note the relative weakness there. ETHA, Ethereum, inside day above the 21, below the 8. Let's go to bonds. Bond prices ticked down today, meaning yields ticked up, but we're just in a huge consolidation with the BND here. The TLT is the long bond, also consolidating. And it was down as well today, meaning yields up on the 30-year, yields also up on the 10-year. That's our inter-asset correlation. Let's go to the tail of the tape. A few changes here. The stochastics have gotten worse since I last did a video on Monday, as has the NASI RSI. 5-day percent of 5-day on the S&P about midway. We did get updates today in our sentiment indicators. AAII, not much of a difference there. Bulls ticked up 1%, bears ticked down 1%, but NAAIM was up 12.5 points, meaning with a 98.15 reading. Anytime you get close to 100, really over 100 is a true signal, but this is close. That's why we've got it highlighted in red. Normally indicates a pullback coming in the market, but with a big binary news event tomorrow, this is why it's a secondary indicator, price and volume first. News Friday, as I said, 10 a.m. Eastern time, Powell's Jackson Hole speech. Keys coming into today, the range on the S&P 500, 63.44 to 64.81. We stayed inside of that. One thing we need to note is that 6,400 acted as resistance overnight, and we didn't touch 6,400. That was the prior support level that we were monitoring. So that's going to be a key level inside this range to monitor. NASDAQ 100, we're monitoring the 21 above, the 50 below. We're between those two levels. Russell 2000, 21 below, 2283 recent highs above. We're between that level as well. Day count, down 2 to down 3. That's 3 days below the 8-day exponential moving average. 12 days above the 21 and 1 day straight on the 21 is how I'm counting this. Short-term expectations neutral with the S&P on the 21, NASDAQ 100 below the 21. As far as sectors go, to the upside today, oils, biotech, basic materials, and gold stocks. To the downside, 9 out of the 11 spider sectors negative. ITB, that's builders, with typical to see that down when you see rates up. Staples down, that had some flows into it as money went into value as of recently. Retail also down, and solar's down. Portfolio changes added to Reddit in GROTECTION, 1.14 adjusted beta, 4.73% balance at risk. Turbo bought Wolf and BMNR, added to MP and BE, 2.03% adjusted beta and 3.88% balance at risk. So bottom line on the day, tight range pullback waiting on a reaction to Powell's morning Jackson Hole speech. Keys for tomorrow going to be the same three ranges. We'll see if we can break any of those either way. Now let's get to some charts, and we'll start off with the 21 over 21 list. And let's go with the 7 that are lagging and in danger of closing the week below the 21-day moving average. So we'll start off with Palantir. After a very strong run, this was a leader, broke not only below the 21, but an undercut and reclaim of the 50-day moving average yesterday. Tight range today, still sitting above the 50-day moving average or 10-week. This is a very harsh pullback. Note the big volume, but sometimes that big volume means it's capitulatory and everybody that sold wants out, and it sets up for a move back higher. Remember, a touch of the 10-week. First two touches of a 10-week after a move are normally add points according to the O'Neill methodology. Second one below the 21 is AMD, 3 closes below that level. GE Vernova, multiple closes below the 21, which has rolled over. A little bit of relative strength over the last 2 days, but note how it ran into, and you see this a lot when it breaks, try to reclaim that declining 21-day moving average and couldn't do it. So slightly positive on the day, but below the 21. Cloudflare below, basically closed right on the 50-day moving average below the declining 21. DoorDash hard break below the 21, sitting on the 50, kind of a similar last 2 days to Palantir, although obviously they're in two completely different industry groups. Carvana looks like those two charts as well. Break of the 50, closed on the 50 today. Pareto bounce at the 50-day moving average, bounced up off of that 100 level also, right into the declining 21-day moving average where it sits right now. And NVIDIA tried to get back above the 21 yesterday. So this is 3 closes for NVIDIA below the 21-day moving average. Note the hammer yesterday. There were lots of hammers, meaning we had a shakeout in the morning, rally in the afternoon, and tight ranges today. There's charts all over the place that look like that. NVIDIA will have earnings next week. That one will be closely watched. Let's go back to the charts of what we own in GROTECTION. Hood, 2 closes below the 21, another one that couldn't reclaim it. We did trim some of this earlier this week. We already showed NVIDIA. MP, undercut and reclaim of the 21. Some news late in the day today that the Trump administration wants to move some money from the CHIPS Act into the rare earth metals complex. So MP got a little pop on that. Reddit's tight inside day today. This was a 20% pullback in 3 days. And tight inside day today. Nice bounce off of the 21-day moving average yesterday. Rocket pulling back, bounced at the 21-day moving average today. And the last of the 6 individual name holdings, SE, showing nice relative strength, still within 5% of the pivot from this flat base breakout. Let's take a look at some of the other names that are owned in Turbo. We'll take a look at those charts. BMNR, we'll start with what was bought today, BMNR. This is a high beta play off of Ethereum. This is Tom Lee's Bitmine immersion, BMNR. It says it engages in the production of Bitcoin. I don't think that's correct. I'm pretty sure it's Ethereum on this one. Wolf, another former Bitcoin miner converting to zero carbon power generation for AI data centers. You can see the big move up after its earnings report last week. Tight range consolidation since then. Let's see what else is owned that Grow doesn't have. Nail, which is a play off of ITB. Pullback there today. Always use the underlying to make your decisions. That's what we do. So there was a 6-day consolidation there. We're at the bottom range of that consolidation with a close below the 8 EMA. GEV sold this in GROTECTION, still holding a piece of it in TurboTection, undercutting the 21. Another one that's trapped below the 21 and the 50. We took a look at that chart. Let's see what else we got here. BE. I really like the look of this one on my watch list. This is one of the alternative energies plays that is profitable and holding up extremely well, showing huge relative strength over the last month. Looking to sneak into this one. A Lab also held in TurboTection, very strong name. Pulled back, bounced off of the 21-day yesterday. And I think that covers it. And that'll wrap it. As always, we'd like to hear from you. The email's don@revereasset.com. If you're interested in becoming a client, email my partner, Dan Stewart, dan@revereasset.com, or use the contact us off of the website. Reminder, we would really appreciate it if you would like, share, and subscribe on our social media, especially YouTube. That's at Revere Asset, or just search for Revere Asset on YouTube. Our flagship portfolios with the common sense approach with time tested rules to um, grow assets during uptrends, protect them during downtrends. And we talk about implementing these rules every night on video, explaining and detailing every portfolio change that we make, as well as what's going on in the overall market. If you're interested in becoming a client, please reach out. And with that, I will wrap it for Thursday, August 21st. This is Don Vandenbord with Revere Asset Management, telling it like it is. It's not how much you make in the market, it's how much you can keep. Thanks for listening and have a great day.